Hello everyone, welcome back to Bridge is for Everyone. My name's Jad. This is topic 23 of the Extensions series. The topic is the bidding convention known as Unusual to No Trump. The convention is called the Unusual to No Trump because it asks you to make a bid of to no trump as an overcall where such a bid does not follow the standard rules. You could even consider that the bid makes no real sense. The Unusual to No Trump convention is useful in many situations. Let's explore these with some examples. This is board EN1. East is the dealer. Here is your hand. As always, you value your hand. You have 9 high card points and 2 long points for a total of 11 points. You have a singleton, so your hand is unbalanced, and you have 2 biddable suits, diamonds and clubs. East opens the bidding with a bid of 1 spade. It's your turn to bid. You apply the rules for overcalling your opponent's standard opening bid. You need a strong suit of 6 or more cards. You don't meet this requirement, so you must pass. Your opponents can now bid without interference. This seems a pity because with 2 long suits, you would like to compete in the auction and make their bidding difficult. What you need is a single bid to tell partner about your 2 long suits. You need the Unusual to No Trump. Let's look at the requirements for using this convention. The Unusual to No Trump is a bid that shows 2 suits. Specifically, it shows the 2 lowest unbid suits. More specifically, these suits must be long suits of 5 or more cards. I recommend using the Unusual to No Trump with a hand valued at 8 to 15 points, with most of your high card points in your long suits. Usually, your hand will be at the lower end of this range. I'll discuss other strength possibilities later in the video. Let's return to the example and use the Unusual to No Trump convention. Your opponent bids spades, so the lowest unbid suits are your 2 biddable suits, clubs and diamonds. The first requirement is met. You have 5 cards in each suit, so the second requirement is met. And your 11 points are within the permitted range for the Unusual to No Trump. This means that instead of passing, you can make a bid of to no trump. This bid has 2 important effects. First, it describes your hand to partner. Partner knows your approximate strength and both your long suits. This makes it easy for partner to compete in the auction. And second, to no trump is preemptive. If your opponents continue bidding, their next bid must be at the 3 level. This makes it harder for them to find the right strain and stop at the right level. Now, let's look at another board where you would use the Unusual to No Trump convention. This is board EN2. East is the dealer. Here is your hand. Once again, you value your hand. You have 9 high card points and 3 long points, for a total of 12 points. You have a singleton, so your hand is unbalanced. And you have 2 biddable suits, hearts and clubs. East opens the bidding with 1 diamond. It's your turn to bid. You meet the requirements for an overcall of 2 clubs. But before you make this bid, you should also look at the requirements for an unusual 2 no trump bid. The two lowest unbid suits are clubs and hearts. These are your biddable suits, so the first requirement is met. You have at least 5 cards in each of these suits, so the second requirement is met, and your 12 points are in the correct point range. You have 2 possible bids, 2 clubs and 2 no trump. You should choose the one which conveys the most information to partner and disadvantages your opponents the most. On both criteria, the unusual 2 no trump is better. You bid 2 no trump. In general, I recommend that if you meet the criteria for the unusual 2 no trump bid, then you should use that bid. Now let's look at another board. This is board EN3. This time, West is the dealer. Here is your hand. This is the same hand you had with the previous board. West opens the bidding with 1 diamond. Partner passes, and East bids 2 diamonds. It's your turn to bid. You don't meet the criteria for a suit overcall, but you do meet the criteria for an unusual 2 no trump bid. You bid 2 no trump. This time, your 2 no trump is not preemptive, but it does give partner a good opportunity to compete for a part score. It may also force your opponents to bid too high. Now, let's use the same hand again with another board. This is board EN4. West is the dealer. Here is your hand. This is the same hand you saw in the previous board. West opens the bidding with 1 diamond. Partner passes, and East bids 1 no trump. It's your turn to bid. You could overcall 2 clubs, but this would not show your long heart suit. Once more, your hand meets the criteria for an unusual 2 no trump bid. You bid 2 no trump. Your unusual 2 no trump bid shows partner both your long suits and makes it more difficult for your opponents to bid. Now, let's look at another board. This is board EN5. East is the dealer. Here is your hand. This is the same hand you had in the first example. This time, East opens the bidding with 1 no trump. It's your turn to bid. You don't meet the requirements for a suit overcall, but you do meet the requirements for an unusual 2 no trump bid. But before you make that bid, be careful. I recommend you use 2 no trump as an unusual 2 no trump convention call in this situation. But many other conventions can apply here. Make sure you've discussed this with partner before using the unusual 2 no trump over a 1 no trump opening. Provided you and partner are clear on its use, an unusual 2 no trump can be very helpful. You bid 2 no trump. Your unusual 2 no trump is a quick way to compete in the auction and help find a good defense if your opponents bid to 3 no trump. Now, let's look at another board. This is board EN6. Once again, East is the dealer. Here is your hand. This is the same hand you had in the second example. This time, East opens the bidding with 2 diamonds. It's your turn to bid. You interpret East's bid. East's system card tells you that the 2 diamond opening bid is weak. This leads to a very important point. You cannot make an unusual 2 no trump bid over a weak opening. This time, with no overcall, you need to pass. Perhaps partner will be able to compete in the auction. If not, your extreme distribution may provide opportunities to defeat your opponent's final contract. Now, let's look at one last board. This is board EN7. This time, West is the dealer. Here is your hand. This is the same hand you had in the second example. West opens the bidding with 1 diamond. Partner passes and East passes. It's your turn to bid. You meet the requirements for a 2-club overcall and for an unusual 2 no-trump bid. But be careful. You are in the balancing seat. This means that if you pass, the auction is over. In this seat, I recommend you do not make an unusual 2 no-trump bid. If you cannot make a standard overcall, you should pass. In this case, you do have a standard overcall. You bid 2 clubs. Your aim with this overcall is to win the auction with a part game bid, or force West to bid again without East support. Let's identify exactly when a bid of 2 no-trump is an unusual 2 no-trump. First, it must be your partnership's first call that is not a pass. Second, your opponents must have opened the bidding. Third, that opening must have been a normal or strong opening, but not a weak opening. And fourth, the 2 no-trump bidder must not be in the balancing seat. Now let's look at what partner should do in response to your unusual 2 no-trump. First, an unusual 2 no-trump bid is forcing. This means that partner must bid if your left-hand opponent passes. Second, the unusual 2 no-trump shows your 2 suits. Partner should bid the one in which they have more cards. With equal length in the 2 suits, partner should make the cheaper bid. If partner has 4 or more cards in one of your 2 suits, then I recommend a bid at the 4 level as an additional preempt. There is one other situation in which you can use the unusual 2 no-trump convention. That is, with a strong hand. If you have 20 or more points and meet the unusual 2 no-trump suit requirements, you can make an unusual 2 no-trump bid. Because your bid is forcing, you will always get another bid. With a strong hand, when partner picks a suit, you bid again, probably at the game level. As always, I have some important points to raise before the end of the video. First, you need to consider the relative vulnerability of your partnership. With unfavourable vulnerability, you should raise the minimum hand strength for an unusual 2 no-trump by a few points. After all, an unusual 2 no-trump bid will often see you playing a contract at the 3 level, and you want to avoid a severe penalty score. Second, as with any artificial bid, you need to discuss and agree your unusual 2 no-trump bids with partner. Third, you need to add the unusual 2 no-trump convention to your system card. And lastly, the unusual 2 no-trump is generally not alertable because it is self-alerting. But as always, I recommend you check with your local club on this point. This video looked at the unusual 2 no-trump bidding convention. It showed how and when to use the convention and how to respond when it is used by partner. Thanks for watching. If you found the video useful, please consider subscribing to this channel. Until next time, this is Jad reminding you that bridge is for everyone.